Hey everyone, in this video I want to talk about a concept that I like to use for language learning and also for language teaching, and it is the map of a language. Okay, so what the map is of the language is a sort of structural overview or like a blueprint of the language, and what it is meant to be is sort of the language at a glance. Okay, so as you begin learning, this is for complete beginners. This is like one of the very first things that I want to have in my hand when learning a new language. And so as you continue to build the language and build your conversation through the structure of the language, you can use this map of the language as a reference point and think like, okay, this new thing that I'm learning, this comes from this category, this comes from this area. And so it's again structural overview of the language. And I want to walk through it with you real quick. I've got the map of English here. I've got a few other maps, but we're going to use English as the sample, but generally the template is the same for all languages. Of course, all languages have their differences, but the general map is at the level that it basically applies to all languages one way or another. I have these maps available, so if you'd like to have some, if you're learning Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic, I've got those available, and you can leave a comment or reach out through email or something like that, and I'd be happy to just provide you with this. And for me, it's indispensable, and I think it's indispensable for anyone who's learning these languages. So as a sample of how the map works and how it's configured, I've got your map of English here. It's a single page. It's just one page, and I'll zoom in on each part and kind of show you how it works. So every language has some variation of this. You'll see how it looks. So here it is with English. To begin, I've got your tense aspect matrix. Now this is basically the boundaries of your language, like your x-axis and your y-axis, whatever it is. It's your x and y axis of the language. So basically, if there's past tense, present tense, future tense, and conditional tense, then and maybe an imperative mood, let's say, then if that's all there is, then nothing you can ever say will fall outside of one of those things. So everything will be a variation on that. Some languages have a simple, continuous, and perfect aspect. Some languages don't have perfect. Some are very heavy with perfect versus so on and so forth. But the way English works, right, is simple, continuous, and perfect, and past, present, future, conditional. And so I spoke, I speak. This is all simple past. So I spoke, I speak, I will speak, I would speak. I was speaking, I am speaking, I will be speaking, I would be speaking, I had spoken, I have spoken, I will have spoken, I would have spoken, okay? So Spanish has all of these, Portuguese has all of these, Arabic does not have perfect, for example. So again, there's variations within the language, but one way or another, these categories are populated, even if they're populated with nothing. And so imagine that you have a single verb, which we do, just the verb speak, and just first person, by the way. We're sort of like limiting all the variables just to show what the tense and aspect sort of boundaries of this language are. But once you have this, you could insert new verbs, no? So instead of I speak, you could be I work, and there I worked, I will work, I would work, I was working, so on and so forth. And you can at that point start to conjugate, like you, do you, would you do, so on and so forth, no? So first person, single verb in every tense and aspect that this language has. Okay, that's very important to know. And by the way, this isn't it's not necessary to spend time memorizing this right away, in the same way that you don't open a dictionary and read it, cover to cover. It's not about memorizing. You don't need to make flashcards for these things. This is just like a dictionary. It's here for your reference. Now you can look to it or like hearken back to it as needed. Okay, next thing, very important, is your core verbs in this language. How do you use be, have, go, do, like, want, have to, and be able to? Still just first person for now. It's a short step from second person, third, and so on. But I want that too in past, present, future, and conditional, because here this is like it's like a bag of seeds. Verbs are seeds, and it's like a bag of seeds. So I could start building infinite sentences already just with I was here, I was there. Spanish, estaba this, the Arabic kuntu this, so on and so forth. And tons of possibilities. Plus, these are going to be the verbs that you'll need all the time, that you'll need most. These are, I think, the highest, in my opinion, the highest frequency verbs of the language. Be, have, go, do, like, want, have to, be able to. So you can begin to build your sentences this way and learn a little vocabulary as needed. But again, I'm not into memorizing a lot of vocabulary. Vocabulary is like the leaves on the branch, and trying to learn a language by learning vocabulary is like trying to make a tree grow, starting with the leaves, So I'm not into vocabulary for the sake of just vocabulary. But you can begin building your sentences, and you can pair these verbs with some adverbs. Okay, and so I've got here your past, present, future adverb scheme, which goes by the hour level, day, night, week, weekend, month, year, and time level. So on the hour level, past, earlier, now, later. For example, I was home earlier, I was at work earlier, I am at home now, I will be there later, and so on and so forth, right? Yesterday, today, tomorrow. On the night level, last night, tonight, tomorrow night, last week, this week, next week, last weekend, this weekend, last month, year, last time, this time, next time. A frequency thing, how to say always, often, sometimes, and never. Very important. Here, I've got your question words at a glance. How, where, what. Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory. Your high frequency conjunctions, but, and, or, because, so, then. So you can start to glue these sentences together that you've been building already. Indefinite pronoun matrix: everyone, everywhere, everything, someone, somewhere, something, no one, nowhere, and nothing. Very important things. And then finally, your subject pronouns, possessive pronouns, I, you, he, she, we, my, your, right? Preposition object pronouns, and then direct or sometimes indirect object pronouns. Okay, so that's the map of the language. It's there for your reference. As a quick glance, let me show you the Spanish map, right? So you come along here and say, okay, this is the tense aspect matrix, so on and so forth. The way I've got it configured here is everyone, everywhere, everything, someone, somewhere, something, no one, nowhere, nothing. How to say that? And all that same stuff, right? Here's your map of Portuguese, indispensable for the Portuguese learner. And finally, your map of Arabic with a little bit of a conjugation chart. Here's actually quite simple in Arabic. Arabic in some ways is more simple than other languages. It doesn't even have as much going on in the tense aspect matrix. There's no conditional, there's no perfect. It's quite simple, actually. And all of that. So anyway, I like to use the map as my sort of language at a glance, my structural sort of microcosm of the language. And through that, I'm relying on the principles of verbs as seeds, building my routine, speaking the language with people, and learning the language by using it. So that's that. Again, I'm very happy to share. Feel free to reach out, leave a comment, send an email, and I can provide you with these maps.